Warning, the following episode of the Blackwell podcast contains spoilers from all episodes of Life is Strange.
Hi everyone, welcome to Blackwell Podcast, where we love Life is Strange more than Max loves making mixtapes for Chloe. I'm Aaron, and today I'm joined by Joey.
Heyo.
Jamie.
Hello.
And Sean.
Hey.
Zach unfortunately could not be with us today, but we do have, we're going to try not to cry about it. But we do have a special guest with us today. She's a well-known cosplayer on the interwebs. We have Kiki from Kiki's Cosplay Service. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Doing great.
We're good.
Yeah, not too bad. So, you make great Max cosplays.
Aw, thank you.
You're welcome. For those of you who don't know, you have to make sure to check them out. But, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
About me?
Yeah.
I'm 26, but I've been clocked for 14 before. Let's see. I live in New England, in the good old USA. Please don't hold it against me. I don't know. I'm just living the dream every day.
Killing it.
Think chilling like a villain is what the kids say.
Do they? Do they
Hi.
really?
How do you do
Back
it?
in my day.
Well, as much as they say hello.
Yeah. It's lit, fam. Did I sound old enough?
Oh, yeah.
Hang on, let me use my rotary phone.
I think I'm the youngest one here, and oh, really? How old are you? 18. Oh. So I'm actually down with the kids, except the kids don't say that. I could probably pass for 18.
I'm just here down with the sickness.
Oh, nice breath.
Oh.
That was pretty good.
Thank you.
God, I got the fucking karaoke video going through my head. Anyway, so we have some questions for you. So,
Alright.
Aaron, why don't you start off?
Yeah, let's roll into them. All right. So just, the obvious question, what got you into cosplaying?
Rewind time. When I was 14 and in high school, I was taking Japanese language classes, and we have like this dinky local con that was right by my school, and my teacher said we would get extra credit if we went to the con. So being the little 14-year-old overachiever, I said yeah. So I got there and I saw people dressing up, and like, mind you, this was back in the day. This was like, 2004, something like that. Like, we had like party store wigs, we had costume satin from Joanne Fabrics, like this normal fabric store where I'm at, and like, we liked it. There was no Warbler, there was no like Arta wigs or wig suppliers. We just did that and liked it. But anyway, so I got there and I saw cosplayers from my favorite anime at the time, which was Wolfstrain, and my little 14-year-old brain was just like, you can do that? It was pretty awesome. I talked to them about it. They kind of clued me into the whole scene, which is very tiny back in the day. But I was like, oh, this is so great. I got to do this next year. So I was 15, and my parents got me my first cosplay for Christmas, and I was bit by the bug, and I never looked back.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Man.
Nice.
Wow, Wolf's Rain. What a deep cut.
Oh, right. I didn't start on the normal stuff. Like, I skipped right over Naruto and Bleach and One Piece and all that. My first anime was Wolf's Rain.
God bless you. Yeah, that's awesome. I used to back in high school, actually probably around that same time. I was in high school and we had it was like a Japanese culture club, but for all intents and purposes, it was basically just an anime lovers club.
Oh yeah.
But we never did anything like that, so that's really cool.
I was in an anime club at school too. I must
Yeah.
confess my sins.
All of you,
Guilty.
Yeah.
Guilty as charged.
all of you about your different stuff, and I only got into anime last year, so
Actually, that kind of reminded me that the first cosplay I did was Mikuru Asahina from The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya.
Oh man.
I know, I
I
have
didn't
loads.
feel a long time ago.
Well, that was my favorite anime. It probably still is, actually. But, yeah. So, anime ruined my life.
Right.
TM.
I wore a Naruto headband around my arm because my favorite character was Shikamaru, and high school was dark for me.
oh, Joey.
It's like a safety blanket.
Right. That's dope though.
It's okay.
Security.
Like everything.
Okay, Joey, we can both be nerds together.
Yeah, I guess I kind of tainted you, Jamie,
Yeah,
into anime.
me and Joey have we've been joking about it, but I honestly, there's this anime called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and
Oh
me
shit.
and Joey want to do a Joseph and Caesar. Do a
Yeah,
little Joseph and
one
Caesar
day.
thing.
God bless. Please do.
Fucking
But
will.
this episode isn't about us, so digress. Sorry about that.
Much like anime, moving on from that, but another thing that may have ruined your life. How did you find out about Life is Strange, and what was your initial impression?
Well, I found out about it online, just perusing the internets. A couple of friends of mine had played it, and I did get spoiled about a couple of things that happened before actually playing the game. But my first initial impression was I can't play this game. I can't do this because I know exactly what's gonna happen to me. So I first learned about it, I think it was the end of 2015, November or something like that. And then it took me until May of 2016 to finally break down and play it. And my initial impression was 100% correct.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sounds
complete
about right.
and utter emotional destruction.
And,
I feel that.
yeah,
Yep,
that breaks
and then
you
I went back
down.
to play it 8 times. Evidently, I'm a glutton for punishment.
Oh, same.
We all
I think, I
I'd love to
think you
suffer.
have to be to love Life is
Yeah.
Strange. I think it's a prerequisite.
Well,
Absolutely.
it's a comforting pain, you know. It's I don't know, the kind that keeps you coming back for more. It's not totally life shattering and depressing to where you're actually going to get really, you know what I mean? It's there's a little hope in it.
Yeah, I guess. For me, it almost feels like I gotta go back and get my next hit. You gotta
Yeah.
be more Life is Strange episodes.
I'm starting to become numb.
I think
I need
Right?
Numb in
Feel
this kingdom.
anything.
Oh no!
I went there.
Yes, you did.
Kind of gone back before the storm was even announced. Sometimes I was at that state where I was playing just a random episode of season 1. I was just I wonder when the next episode's oh no.
It's kind of how when you bite your cheek or something, or bite your tongue, and but then you can't stop messing with it, and you get a mouth ulcer or something, and you can't stop messing with it.
That hurts so bad, though.
So does this.
We should be on the marketing committee for this game.
Yeah, it's
Playing this game is
having.
having.
Do you want an experience that will rip your emotions out through your throat?
Okay.
Wonderful.
So our next question is What is your favorite episode from either season 1 or Before the Storm? If you want to answer both of those, it's perfectly fine.
Oh man, can I say the whole thing? I guess if I have to like separate them, because I kind of like I love them both. I guess for season 1, I think it's a tie between episode 3 and episode 5, because like when I first played the game, like I personally was kind of hooked at the end of episode 1, but I understand. Episode 1, you gotta establish characters, you gotta establish your setting, you gotta get the ball rolling, so it wasn't as interesting. And then episode 2 kind of felt like, I don't want to say it was bad, but it was more like they had so much stuff that they brought on that I felt like they were just trying to get the drama going. I didn't feel as much of the relationship aspect. But then episode 3 hits and it's like, bam, like within like 2 or 3 scenes, like the pool scene, that one, oh my fucking god.
That's my fave as well. I'm right there with you.
Oh god, not even like touching on the fact that like that's something that I want to happen to me in real life, like even just aside from all of that, like the kind of things that they said in episode 3, just like it got me right in the feels. It was rough. And then like more stuff that happens throughout the episode, like finding out about Rachel and rewinding and going to the alternate timeline. Just oh my god, that was the one that had me like I want more. And then episode 5, I can't even say anything about episode 5. Just as soon as I was done, literally as soon as I was done, I just fell on my bed and was staring up at my ceiling for 2 hours processing what had just happened. Oh, yeah. Just so.
That sounds about right.
So much. But those 2 were definitely my favorites in the first season. Before the Storm, so far I would have to say episode 2. If only because like the first episode, again, is the first episode. It has to establish everything. Even for people who have already played the original game, they have to establish some new things. Mm-hmm. And like, but episode 2, I think we really again kind of got to see the ball get rolling and the relationship really build, and it really did feel genuine in episode 2. Plus, there was a lot more drama. I think not that the first episode didn't have any drama, but it became that much more serious, like right. Chloe's being accused of carrying drugs and Rachel getting, punished and kicked out of the play. And then if you're actually in the play, the like admitting of feelings on stage, and I'm totally the girl in the audience going, say yes. Oh, same. I definitely have to give it to episode 2.
Yeah, that was so fun. Beautifully executed. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So you're mainly just mainly here for the ships.
Oh, I'm 100% here for the gay, and thank you, Deck 9 for not tiptoeing around it. Thank you. Like, oh, they're so gay. I love it.
I feel like me and you are gonna get along. These are the things I say every week on this goddamn podcast.
Right. Oh god, I love them.
The relationship between Chloe and Rachel was really, I don't know, it was really like heartwarming. It was like a very like pure scene.
Oh god, there's a lot of feelings for me about that. A lot of feels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was surprisingly moving. Not that this game, like obviously this game has the ability to do just unspeakable things to our emotions, but it was like I thought back to season 1 and everybody talking about Pricefield and like how that was a big thing, and I definitely got it, but I didn't like. I think I mentioned this in an earlier episode, but I didn't feel that myself on my first playthrough. And maybe it's like, now that I've played that game and, been a part of the community, it's different now. But when I played through episode 2 of Before the Storm, it was much more like impactful. Like with the play and with the sort of subtext of what they were saying in between the
Right.
lines, and especially the kiss, which I
Right?
just thought was amazingly done.
Oh God, right? And like I know that when season 1 came out, it wasn't like an established product, like there wasn't like a giant fan base there ready to support anything that you came out with, so you kind of have to play it safe. But can I just say thank you, Deck 9, for going in like balls to the wall, like they are gay. Even just established by the fact that like it was already canon. Like Chloe says it in season 1. There's no tiptoeing around this, and they didn't. And I'm like, thank you so much. Like from the first episode of Before the Storm, like Chloe says in her letters to Max that she rubbed one out to Pris from Blade Runner, and I'm just like, this is so good.
Honestly, so iconic. When I saw that, I
screamed when
shook
I read
it
that.
to the core.
Oh.
Yeah, man, I don't know. Like, I do enjoy the Amber Price a lot, but I miss Pricefield. I miss Max and Chloe.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I
we will get to that. I've got a lot of feels.
So, other than the obvious of Max, who are your favorite characters?
Well, other than Max, well, I have to kind of generalize and say I love basically all the girls. Like, I obviously love Max. I love Chloe. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I love Chloe.
She's my favorite, so I'm right there with
Yes.
you.
Right. I love her. I love Kate. I want to just protect Kate with every fiber of my being. She is precious.
Yes.
I love her. I even love Victoria in certain points, mostly because, like, mostly in season 1, I do think she was kind of, like, shunted to the side a little bit, and it's just kind of like a plot point in Before the Storm, but that makes sense given the fact that she's much more of an antagonist to Max directly than she is to Chloe. To Chloe, she's more of, like, a side quest of annoyance in a way. So... But, like, when they humanized Victoria, particularly in episodes like 4 and 5, where if you went the nice route, you could, like, almost kind of be friendly towards her, like, that, I think, was a good step that they took to not make her just this, like, ultra bitch, giving you the option to be friendly with her. I liked that. I think that was a good choice. So even then, I do like Victoria at points as well. I obviously love Rachel. I am so glad that Before the Storm exists because we get to actually meet her. She was the biggest draw for me to Before the Storm. Like, I love Chloe already. I know that's going to be great, but I really was excited to meet her. Like, that was what I was looking forward to. I guess if I had to, like, I love all the girls, really.
Big mood.
Right on. Nice. So what Life is Strange cosplay did you start creating first, and what was that process like?
I think if I remember correctly, the first one I made was the most basic one. Go figure. It was her episode 2 outfit. That was the one with the dough shirt. That one I figured would be easiest because I just bought the shirt. But they've got a really good selection on Redbubble. Good artists there. Yeah, good shit there. But the process is, it was a lot like any other cosplay. Of course, I left it all to the last minute because that's just how you do it. It was a good time. I think the hardest parts were the bag and the shoes and the wig. And in fact, actually, the first time that I wore Max was for Dragon Con in 2016, and I didn't even finish my own wig in time. There are photos of me from that first con that I had shot, and I'm actually wearing a wig that my friend loaned to me in order to be Max. Like, oh, that was rough. It was like the day before I flew out, and I had massively fucked up her bangs on the wig, and I'm literally just sitting there staring at this wig, like, willing it to put itself together. And I'm like, I just can't do this.
So the wig that your friend lent to you was not specifically for Max, it was just, like, similar enough?
Well, no, actually, it was for Max. It was for
okay.
it was another friend of hers who she had made a Max wig for. She loaned it to me for that weekend.
Okay.
And I'm glad that happened because I was able to be Max, and I think it was really worth it. But I am very proud of the wig that I myself was able to make. I think I've worn that wig more than any other wig I have ever made.
Cool.
Right on.
Yeah, well, luckily you had the backup. You know, you had the friend come through.
In clutch.
But yeah, I can imagine like having successfully completed something and being like, yeah, I did this.
Yeah, it's cosplay culture, you know, like there's some graphic out there, I forget who actually made it, but it's like a pie chart, and it's like like cosplay process or whatever, I forget what the actual title is, but like 90% of it is procrastinating, 9% of it is actually making the outfit, and 1% is wearing it, and like, yeah, that's my life.
I feel that because
same.
I have like a cosplay in progress right now, and I'm like it's my first time like using EVA foam for like armor, and I'm just like I cut out like the front part of the chest. I was like, okay, I'll do that. I'll do the rest of it tomorrow. That was like 4 months ago. So I'm just like, okay, I guess it's just abandoned at this point.
Dude, I know that life. You don't even want to see like the half finished projects I have just like sitting around my apartment. I can't even look at them.
Yeah, no, I'm exactly the same. Like, especially, I was going to take them all to uni with me, and I was like, okay, I don't want to take them all because then I'll have no space. So now it's easy to avoid them. I'm like, oh, I'm not at home, so I don't need to work on them. But they're just at home in a closet waiting for something. Like my Tiny Tina cosplay that I started making like 2 years ago is still not finished.
That feel. And Jamie, I feel you on the armor because I don't do armor, although it's something I'd love to break into. I just do sewing purely at this point.
I'm the same as well.
More power to you, man, for breaking into that.
It's one of those things where I feel like, you know, when you look at somebody, and some people will see like a really elaborate costume and be like, oh man, make it look so easy. It looks store-bought. I mean, I look at that stuff and I'm like, there is no possible way with all the money in the world and all the time in the world that I could achieve something like that. It's incredible. Like, because I used to go to cons back in high school, and I would see like people would be dressed as like Gundams or like, you know, big mecha robots that they made out of like fiberglass, and they were like in all these different pieces. And, yeah. And I look at that and I'm like dressed as freaking Android 17 from Dragon Ball Z in this hack job costume that just looks terrible. And I'm like, I'm just here for fun. Like, I'm not entering any contests. Like,
and that is totally legit, man. Like, that's the thing. Like, that they don't tell you about wearing big fancy cosplays is they're a massive pain in the ass, and they take forever to get into. Like, I think one of my biggest cosplays to date was actually one that. Side note, I actually got college credit for making it. It was a Castiel costume from Supernatural, and I had these big-ass black wings. Yeah, I got college credit for those. I graduated because of those wings. And so they're these big-ass wings. They're like twice as tall as I am, all spread out. And I'm walking around with these things, and I swear to God, I think I took out at least 5 small children wearing them just because I couldn't see them. You know, so it's a major pain in the ass. Sometimes just going as a simple thing is really the best. Like, that's why I love wearing Max so much, aside from the whole I love Life is Strange thing. She's so comfortable. I have very few cosplays that I can wear all day, even the wig, and be just totally comfortable.
Nice.
Yeah, it's totally worth it, man.
I've thought about trying my hand at doing some cosplays, but I'm too old and too tired, and
that's me, and I'm only 18.
It's never too late, Joey. old man Joseph.
The older I get, the more Joel becomes viable too. I'm just waiting on my beard to start graying.
If you
Joel
cosplay
from
Joel,
The Last of Us? Yeah. Yes.
Cosplay Joel, we are meeting up and we're doing a photo shoot, okay? Seriously.
Yeah, that would be.
I
that
don't
would be
joke about this kind of stuff. Troy Baker said to my face when I was cosplaying Ellie, he was like, "Oh, where's your Joel?" And I was like, "I don't have one." And then he's like, "I'll be your Joel." So you've got to step your game up, Joey. You got to be my Joel now.
The amount of times
Do it up.
you've talked about Last of Us, I still haven't played it.
Nor have I.
Oh man.
That's not true. I played the first hour of it, but I didn't finish.
Like,
It's,
watch a let's play if you have to.
yeah, it's so good.
Not relevant. This is just a little point I have. But Anna in the trailer for Last of Us Part 2, she can knock me out.
Agreed.
I've been thinking about her abs for the past, like...
When I watched
Yeah.
the trailer,
Right?
I was like, oh man, I
Like-
bet Sean's in love with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Abs you can lick butter off of.
Oh, yeah. I wake
For
up in
more
a cold
details,
sweat.
follow Sean on Twitter.
Literally. I made a good meme on Tumblr, check it out. Anyway, back on track. And we kind of already touched on this, but what kind of resources do you use to create your cosplays?
In terms of, like, the actual materials, I mean, I'm just as big a proponent of buying pieces and altering them as I am from making them from scratch. I see no difference because I'm a lazy bum, and so it's awesome. Like, for Max's pieces, I think the only thing I made 100% from scratch, I mean, I guess you could say the wig was from scratch, but whatever. The bag I did make 100% from scratch. That one I had no base to work with. Patterned it, made it all myself. Almost every other part of it was bought and altered, or just bought. Like, I got the jeans for her at a thrift store. For the shoes, I bought them from another thrift store and painted them. I think the most out there one was I actually got the hoodie that I used for her. I wanted a very specific color because I'm not gonna lie, it kind of just like rustles my jimmies when the color of the hoodie is like off. You know, like it. I get so like. For simple cosplays like that, it's all about the details, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's really, like, the details are what make it just utterly fantastic. Not, like, a kind of segue, but kind of related. That also is what bugs me about every retailer that has made Max's Deer shirt so far. The color is not right.
It's
I would
either
buy
like
it
too
if
light or
right.
too potent.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And that bothers me.
This is kind of like on that level. This is like this isn't me throwing shade. Like I'm a huge fan of Insert Coin. I love all your stuff. This is a disclaimer. But the Arcadia Bay shirt, why is it not a V-neck? Tell me. Steph has a V-neck. I have to make my own.
I know. It's like Max's shirt is too big. It's like falling off of her shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
So
but again, like, nothing is for that is so bad that it couldn't be, altered. But at the same time, it's like the color is wrong, and that makes me so like irritated. But anyway, back to what my original point was. I got the hoodie from not Forever 21. I think it was like a American Apparel, something like that. Mm-hmm. And it was just slightly too dark, so I literally filled my bathtub with water and diluted bleach and soaked it in bleach like 3 or 4 times for a couple of hours each, and eventually the color came out like perfect, and I was just like, thank you, God.
Whoa.
But yeah, that's the main idea for actual materials. For resources like references and stuff, I mean, I didn't do much different than what I normally do. I referenced other cosplayers who had already done it. In particular, Lychee, the German cosplayer, her wig is spot on. Mm-hmm. So I used her for reference a lot for the wig. As far as other things like in-game references, I did use those a little bit, particularly Max's shoes. Oh my God, that was impossible to find references for. It was impossible. I found like one on the internet that showed both sides, and it was fuzzy as hell. And I was like, this isn't gonna work. So I literally, I had to, I replayed, like, one of the multiple times that I replayed the game. I tried to figure out which scenes were best to see her shoes in, and it turns out it was the Sacrifice Chloe ending.
Oh no.
You literally, yeah, right. You get a perfect shot of one side of Max's shoe, and thankfully all of her sides match. So you can get the one side, and I replayed that ending like 3 or 4 times until I got enough references. It killed me.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so sorry.
It was so worth it.
Things you do for cosplay.
Yeah. Wow, dedicated to your craft.
Like, you were talking about, like, it's all about the little details when you were talking about, especially buying stuff and then just altering it. For me personally, actually, someone on Tumblr was asking about this the other day, now that I think about it. But for my Chloe shirt, something that's, because I'm right there with you about the little details, I found it easier than, rather than buying a actual tank top, I bought, like, a full-size, like, too large shirt for me, and then I cut it into a tank top because her tank top's like kind of messy and looks like she's cut it herself. I just think there's kind of like tiny details of what makes a cosplay come together like perfectly. So I totally get what you mean.
Oh yeah, like my Jane Doe shirt that I made is like Franken shirt. It was I managed to find like a shirt dress, something like it, that was the perfect color, and I like shat myself in Kmart when I found the shirt. And so I had to have it, but it was completely and utterly wrong. Everything else about it was wrong. I had to alter the neckline. I made like this fake back because it kind of dipped in the back a little bit, so it like falls off on me because it's a little too big. I had to take it in, but it was worth it because it's literally perfect. And like my flannel for her episode 3 outfit, that one I found another shirt dress on Forever 21, and I bought 2 of them and basically like Franken shirted it out of those 2 shirts. Like I replaced
That's
like
crazy.
Yeah, the top front part, the one that goes diagonal, like it switches the pattern sides, like it goes like diamond instead of square. I literally cut the pieces out of the front of the shirt and replaced them because it bugged me that they didn't look right.
That's really, really cool to see, because to hear about, because I keep looking at that particular cosplay, and it still blows my mind of how good it is. Like, it really does.
Aw, thank you.
I'm kind of going on a little bit of a tangent here. I'm sorry, but when you were talking about like stuff that can be like too big and everything, it reminded me of, I have a cosplay of the Flash, which is like perfect size except for one thing, which I can't alter, and it's the boots. The boots are too big for me.
Too big for a goddamn.
Yeah.
Altering shoes sucks. God, I hate altering shoes.
And it's like, the problem is it's like faux leather, which like makes it even worse. So you can't bring it in. Gotta get myself new shoes.
Yeah, like if it were me, how big are they? Like, are they a size too big, or are they like falling off you too big?
Like if I kick it, it'll just fly off. That kind of. I'll probably just like
that
put
makes me
lifts
laugh.
in my shoe.
Get a.
One thing you could try, just as an aside, if you want to like take up some room in there, get some risers that you can put in there. That'll help to take up a little bit of space, and it'll also give you a couple of inches of height.
Sweet.
And then if it still isn't enough, get some thick ass socks and wear a couple of them if you have to. That'll help to kind of thicken it up a little bit.
Sweet. Keep that
Yeah, or like they also have inserts for shoes too. Like toe insert, like they'll like if you put them around the toe, and it'll lengthen it if that's the issue too.
Yeah, you can do a lot of things. Thankfully, like, you can do a lot about it being too big. You can't do a lot about it being too small.
Yeah. Look at me, like I know anything about cosplay. oh yeah, totally, yeah.
This has basically become like a tutorial for anybody who wants to cosplay.
Hey, I love sharing.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Well, it's just cool, you know, like like you said, it's like the details and the little things. Like, I I do love all the ones you've done so far, but the one that you did of Max from episode 5 with like the tan open shirt, like it's so like I don't know, it's not like overly, it doesn't stand out a ton, but it evokes so much from that episode, and it like brings me right back to the Everyday Heroes like exhibit, and I just love it.
Aww, thanks. That's so sweet.
All right.
So our next question is, with the vast range of different Max cosplays that you have, are there any that you're proud of? Like,
Most proud, I guess.
yeah, the most proud.
I would venture saying that I'm proud of all of them, but I guess more specifically, if I had to pick like a piece that I was proud of, I would definitely say the bag, because that one I made straight up from scratch, and I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Like if I opened it up and showed you, there's like literal blood stains in there because it was such a pain.
Oh jeez.
No, I have a saying amongst all my friends and me in cosplay. It's not a cosplay until you get blood on it. It's such a common occurrence, as long as it's not visible. But I definitely am very proud of that piece. I've gotten compliments on it. Like I think, more effort into that than any other piece, except for possibly the shoes. Those ones took a long time to paint. But I think the bag is probably the one I'd be proudest of, because like I think it was the one that I put the most effort into making accurate, and that I think really does show. And I am deeply in love with that bag. I've considered though, like, because I tend to do this with all the cosplays I do, like as I get better with my skills, I contemplate like remaking it and selling the old one. So let's see if that actually comes to pass. But as of right now, I would definitely say the bag.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. And it's functional too. It actually, I haven't shown it in any pictures or whatever, but it actually has a specific pocket where I keep the Polaroid camera that I use as a prop.
That's
and
awesome.
It's actually, it's pretty nice.
And that's impressive. I think.
Sorry,
Go
Karen.
ahead.
I was just gonna say, the fact that you're talking about how the shoes are one of the things that you spent ages on. It reminded me of with the original version of my LA cosplay. Like we're talking like the weekend after the game came out from The Last of Us, obviously. The weekend after. Yeah, I ended up. I was working on Ellie's shoes, and I was like, I want to do something with them. I was like, because they're just Converse, they're just kind of dirty Converse. So I ended up like, you know how like you have like the All-Star symbol on Converse. I ended up making like a Naughty Dog sign thing.
Ooh.
And putting it on there, and it took so long, but it looks so cool. And I have no idea where those Converse have gone. I really want to remake them, but I spent so many hours making them. They were so cool. And
you should though. It's such a nice touch.
Yeah. I don't know. I was really proud of them. I was like walking around. I was like, my shoes are cool.
That's legit.
I think just in general, like shoe art is really cool to me.
Yeah.
I've got a pair of Chucks that a friend's wife actually painted these. They're kind of like a sea green, kind of tealish pair, and friend's wife painted like these like really nice octopi or an octopus on either one, and but I think like that was like the first thing that I noticed with your cosplay, Kiki, was the shoes, and you know, now hearing about the bag, I think that's really awesome too. But the shoes were like, oh man, that's so fucking cool. Like,
thanks. I'm glad my effort paid off. Yeah, because they were a bitch.
I can imagine. But yeah, I think I don't know. I like the aesthetics of some altered Chucks.
Yeah. It really like. It made me like die laughing though when I finally figured out that her shoes say "Swag Life." I was like, "Are you serious?"
Man, I want to hear Hannah say that now.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of ironic because like that's so not like a Max catchphrase at all.
Ah,
She wears them
it
ironically.
reminds me of that shirt that Max wears during the flashback in episode 3. It's like a bunch of jumbled letters, but someone actually took the time to work out what it could say, and apparently one of them was "no fucks given."
Yeah.
Oh my god! Now I have to make that shirt.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's like Kid Max in the flashback.
Oh, dude, I gotta look into that.
So you kind of already answered it. Maybe there was a little bit more you could go if you want to. What you found the most challenging with cosplaying Max?
I mean, all things considered, she's not really that difficult. Especially like, I've worn some weird shit, and she's definitely not as difficult. I guess maybe the most difficult thing would be there's only so many that I can make, you know? Because like, one of my other favorite things to cosplay is Love Live, and they are constantly coming out with new content and new things for me to go, oh my god, I have to make this, and never actually do it. Whereas Max has a very limited number, and it's tough because I'm like, I want to do more because God, I freaking love her and she's so easy. But I've made at this point all but like 2. So there is going to come a point where it's like, no, you're done. If you want to do more, you can like remake your old shit or get creative. And I guess that's cool. And I would love to do that. I do have some ideas of stuff that I would like to do. But as far as like canon outfits and stuff, it's like there is a limited amount that I can do, which
Right.
kind of sucks. But I guess if that's the most difficult thing, then that's really not the worst thing in the world, you know?
Yeah, you could always like do a different spin, like and if you get that bonus outfits in Before the Storm, like Chloe can have a variation of the Doe shirt, so maybe you could turn that around and do like a variation of her Misfit Skull shirt. You never know.
Yeah,
that's a really cool idea.
That was one thing that I kind of wanted to do, is I wanted to make that bonus outfit with the black Jane Doe and have Max wear it, because it's like, aw, girlfriend.
Yeah.
I think like it's pretty obvious, right, that the Misfit skull is an allusion to the actual Misfits, like the T-shirts that are so like prevalent everywhere. They're just
I think so. Yeah.
licensing. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that like I thought it was
like,
obvious.
It's just like Max's camera isn't really a Polaroid, you know?
Right. I think
it's
what is the word? There's a term for it where it's like
knockoff.
Well, no, it's like branded something. It's like Kleenex or Band-Aid, where like the brand becomes so synonymous with like what it is that you just call it that, even if it's not.
Yeah.
So like instant cameras have like, even though there were like several that were by Fujifilm and stuff like that.
I thought like you were talking about ways that like films or like video games or like TV shows try and get away with product placement by like changing one letter.
Oh no, it's called branded, maybe like branded synonym or something like that. There's a specific term for it, but yeah, like the easiest examples are like Kleenex and Band-Aid. And anyway, this is probably the last of Blackwell podcast because of all the copyright strikes we're gonna get.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's been fun.
Yeah, it's those things that like if somebody corrected you on it, you'd think they were like snobby. Like if you said, "And I need a Kleenex," and they'd be like, "Actually, you need a facial tissue."
Like I only appreciate that level of pedantry when it's coming from me. Thank you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Anyway,
cool.
Sorry, digress.
Yeah, no, it's the best part for me anyway. Well, so you've kind of touched on this as well, but you mentioned that Max is relatively easy to cosplay, and if nothing else, you feel comfortable, and it's not as cumbersome to walk around like a con or anything like that with your Max costumes. But what initially drew you to wanting to cosplay Max? Like, what was the moment you realized, like, oh man, I really want to do this?
Well, I think I've touched on this before, but not here, just like in being asked these questions. But I guess basically, Max is basically 18-year-old me in a video game. Like, if anybody really wants to get to know me better, just play this game and you'll get a nice look into my psyche. And I think, like, it was definitely at the end of episode 1. The end of episode 1 was also the point where I was kind of like, okay, I gotta play this game, you know? I played episode 1 when I played it one afternoon before my day off, and then the next day I marathoned the rest of the game in about 14 hours. So,
Dang.
yeah. And it was that moment, I think, at the end of episode 1 where the snow's fallen and shit, and that was what really made me go like, oh my god, I am her, you know? Like, it kind of all came together. And when I felt that kind of connection, like, I felt like I've related to characters in media before, but never in quite such a visceral and deep way, you know? So that immediately drew me to her, and when I'm drawn to a character, I want to cosplay them. So
Nice.
it was because it was such a, like, deep emotional connection for me, it actually gave me the impetus to, like, do it, which not every character does. So that was, I think, really the big moment of, I'm gonna cosplay her. That, and I did think her main outfit, well, really, honestly, all her outfits are basically something that I would wear in real life. So it's like I wear her moth shirt and the episode 5, the red shirt ending. I wear the doe shirt every now and again. I wear those in my normal wardrobe.
Oh,
So
that's awesome.
It's super easy.
So it's just sort of like part of your identity in a way. Like, it was just an extension. You deciding to cosplay as Max was just an extension of the way that you related to her.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
That's really cool, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I've known people to say, you know, they've had a really good, really nice, strong connection with characters from the games, and that's why people, you know, cosplay them. And the one fucking, like, the one game that, like, impacted me the most, Life is Strange, I can't fucking cosplay almost, like, 95%. There's, like, only, like, one that I can maybe pass off.
Hey man, don't let that limit you. Like, I gender bend characters all the freaking time.
But it's
Lord knows, like, I would love to be one of those people who could very well pull off cosplaying both male and female characters. I would love to be able to do that, but I'm a little more realistic than that. So, like, I turn characters female all the time. You should feel no shame in doing that.
But it's Justin, and he stole Chloe's weed.
I
don't think that's unforgivable.
Yeah. I'd like to see you take a shot at Frank.
Oh my god! Do it and get a pompadour.
I think Joey, you wanted to cosplay Frank, right?
Yeah, if I do anyone from Life is Strange, it would be Frank. I know it's very trite and cliche, but the broody,
drug dealer.
Well, not so much that. I don't condone a lot of Frank's actions, but I think, like, as far as, like, I mean, that's like what drew me to Joel too, and I've even like one of my really good friends, after he played The Last of Us, he's like, man, you remind me of Joel a lot, which I don't know is necessarily a good thing, because Joel's kind of like, I don't know. Well, like I said, it's very cliche.
Well, that's the thing. It's you can cosplay that, and just saying, if you got a pompadour, everybody would be all over you.
I'll be your pompadour, Joey.
It'd be like what's that show with Elijah Wood?
Oh yeah, where he's the dog. Yeah.
I forget.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the show.
Yeah, but I know what you're talking about.
It's not Fred, is it? No, Fred is something.
No, it's one word.
Frank.
Is it Frank?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Let me Google this real quick.
Oh man, I don't remember. But, like, I agree with you about Frank as a character. I don't I don't condone what he does, but I don't think he's a bad guy, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I
Yeah,
think
he's not
oh,
like frickin' Jefferson.
right. He's very just like, I don't know, like very fucked up in his own way and never really had any way to heal from it.
Yeah. He's doing the best he can, but I don't think he's an utterly reprehensible human. He does have some redeeming qualities.
Mhm. The show is Wilfred.
Okay.
Oh!
Wilfred.
Wonder we got it
Yeah.
correct.
Oh yeah, that wasn't far off.
But man, I shouldn't have stopped to Google that because now I just lost my train of thought. But
I remember you were talking about like Frank's character and like cosplay and
Oh.
all that stuff.
yeah, I think so. Like if I did anyone from Life is Strange, it would be Frank, just because of that. Especially before I did the show and like for a few years before my dog died, it was very much just me and her, and like I was very loner and like had maybe 1-2 friends, and just didn't really keep a social circle at all, and it was pretty much just like the dog was my world. So and I was, like I have a tendency sometimes to be very like standoffish and just kind of dickish, honestly, which I'm, better at it now that I'm older. But so like seeing Frank with Pompadour and all that, I was like, yeah, my dude.
Aw. You should do it.
One day, TM.
So, what moment in Life is Strange impacted you the most emotionally?
Oh shit. Everything remotely gay.
Good answer.
Well, I mean, really, it's not like I don't think any one particular scene like didn't impact me emotionally, but I guess if I had to like get the top ranked ones, I already mentioned the pool scene, which I'm not even kidding. Ever since I saw the movie Whip It with Ellen Page and Drew Barrymore, that there is literally a scene where she and her boyfriend in the movie break into a pool and do basically the same shit. Ever since I've seen that movie, I want to do that too. I want that to be my life.
Okay,
And so like sitting through like watching myself do it on a video game screen was like, oh my god, I want to do that. And the kind of shit that they talked about and things that they said, I'm just like, oh my god. This was before I knew about what happened the next morning, so I was like, God, I hope they kiss.
Yeah.
And then of course that scene, there's videos somewhere on the internet of me screaming at that scene in Chloe's bedroom, being like, oh my god, do it! And then being pissed off about nothing happening afterwards. Thank you, Deck 9, New Gods of Life is Strange, for actually like giving them more than just like a little peck. Thank you.
Deck 9 owns my life.
Yes, my gay little heart needed that.
Yeah.
Chloe's got her like method for getting kisses down though. You just gotta fucking dare people to do it.
Yeah.
It's like,
Exactly.
Yeah, Chloe's got game.
But like only for like people that she emotionally cares about. If it's like Ellie, it says, I'll take truth, please.
Yeah, right. But beyond that, I think also everything in Max's nightmare, definitely, like I was like thrown completely for a loop when that was playing. I was like, what the fuck am I playing? Like I didn't expect this, and it definitely was one of those ones that made you think. Like some of the things that the characters say and the themes that are in there, like rip my goddamn heart out, why don't you? It connected to a lot of themes in my life that I had noticed. I had been through a lot of similar things that Max had been through. I had lost contact with somebody who was very important to me for a long time, and like they partially came back into my life because of Life is Strange, and that's a whole nother story. But the kind of themes that she dealt with in that nightmare really resonated with me, and it was like, oh shit, I gotta unpack my own shit now, you know?
Yeah. Jeez. That sequence is like the most unbelievable thing I've ever experienced in a game.
I had like a panic attack. It was like, when I played, it was like 5 a.m. I had like one of my best friends over. I was hopped up on like a whole lot of coffee. I was sat there sweating, trying to get through it. My friend was just in the background like yelling at me. I was like having a full-on panic attack. I was like, leave me alone, Mr. Jefferson.
I know, right? Yeah, like by the time I made it to that part, it was like, I don't know, 10 o'clock at night. I had been playing since like 9 or 10 o'clock that morning, and I was just like, my thing was shaking, like I was having such a hard time. Like,
Yeah.
oh god.
I feel like
That's really interesting that you played it all day though, because like as far as I know, me and everybody I know spaced it out a little bit more, and you were like fully immersed in the world by the time you get to the end. So
Yeah,
that must have been crazy.
that's also just a part of my personality. I have an issue when it comes to like if it's all available to me, like I cannot stop if I get hooked. It's the same thing with me and books. Like I'm a voracious reader. If I'm really into a book, I will read it for like 6 hours and not stop. So that kind of took over with Life is Strange. It was like I gotta keep going. I gotta keep going. And I do have to admit, it is weird now that I'm playing Before the Storm, because I have to go through the same experience that everybody else went through, you know, like waiting until the next episode comes, and it feels weird to me, but it's different, which isn't necessarily bad.
Yeah.
Because like for me playing the original again, like I said, I literally couldn't move for like 2 hours because I just had to process everything.
Yeah, definitely. It sucks you in.
That's probably healthier too. Episodic games, like playing them as the episodes come out.
Yeah.
Just
not my
because.
case.
Well, you're not sitting there for like, you know, because I played when I started playing, it was a week before episode 4 comes out, which I've said this so many times, but I played episodes 1 through 3 in one sitting, and you know, so that's like 9 hours at least, probably closer to like 10, maybe even 11, of just sitting there and doing nothing but playing Life is Strange. So like, like having it spaced out for you, and like, no, you can only play this for however long it takes you to get through that one episode, instead of you're gonna sit here and like 3 years later.
Yeah,
as you're like
I couldn't do that 14-hour playthrough again. It was because I didn't know what I was getting into.
It's hard. Like, yeah, I remember I was on, I think it was episode 4 of season 1, and my buddy who introduced it to me, he was like watching me play through the whole thing, and I got to the part where you're like putting the pictures together and being all detective-y, and it was like at that point it was like 2 in the morning, and he was like, all right, well, we should probably save the rest for tomorrow. I'm like, no, I want to figure this out. Like, I'm like so into this right now. And like, he was like, well, the episode's still got like another hour. I'm like, I don't care. I have to finish this episode.
you're weak. You're weak. You do not belong by my side.
Yeah, and like it took me like an hour to figure that out. At least it let me figure it out though. I felt really stupid in Before the Storm when the game like solved the puzzle for me. I was like, thanks.
Wait, when did that happen?
You can't guess the code for Drew's locker thingy.
Oh yeah,
I presume that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, it solved it for me because I was like, I had written down like, okay, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, maybe it's that, and it only let me go through 3 before it like figured it out for me, and I was like, wow, I feel really stupid.
It's not as bad as though like on a lot of video games where they'll have, after you die, you can change the difficulty at any time. It's like, no.
Kind of reminds me a little bit of episode 5 with the room code, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
With the
right.
little Easter egg.
Yeah, after the 50th time.
Yeah.
Or like finding all 6 bottles. Oh god.
At least you got an achievement out of it.
True.
Yeah.
True.
I'm backtracking a little bit here, but I'm stuck on it. you mentioned about like the swimming pool scene reminding you of Whip It, and like first of all, Whip It's my favorite film. Second of all, I was gonna say earlier that you kind of sound like Ellen Page, and also the Whip It is a film obviously it's a film I deeply love because it's my favorite film. But I remember the first time I watched it, I was a very young gay, and I was sat there and I was like, that's a lesbian. I was like, she shouldn't. She wasn't out as a lesbian, but I knew the truth. I knew. And I was sat there and I was like,
I think the whole world knew it, honestly.
Yeah. Like, I didn't know where I was just like projecting, but I was like, this film is wrong. She shouldn't be with that boy. He's mean. He's horrible. He's gross. And I was very young, so like every time I watch that film, I still feel like that kind of rage. But
well, yeah, he is though.
So yeah. So like I guess like with you pointing out that it was like Whip It, maybe that's why I love the scene so much, because it's exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
That original scene to be.
Yeah, man. Like I want to do like if I find a Chloe someday, I want to recreate that so bad. I don't know how I'll ever get it to happen, but I want it so bad. I don't talk about it often, but I have almost canon underwear for Max too.
Oh wow.
Dude.
Dedication.
If you need a Chloe to reenact the swimming pool scene, hit me up. I'll do it.
Nice.
Alrighty. So our next question is, when you started playing the game, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but did you expect it to have as much as an impact as it did on your life today?
Yeah, yes and no. Yes, I did, in that I knew based on where I'd heard about it from and what I had seen as like some of the few spoilers that I had seen, I was like, oh fuck, like what am I doing here? Like, might as well just like take out a whip and start hitting myself instead. I think that'd hurt less. So yes, I expected it to be a complete and utter emotional destruction, and I was right. But at the same time, it also like kind of surprised me in that it brought a lot of new people into my life, which was great. I've met a lot of really cool cosplayers because of it, like Amethyst and Carly and a bunch of other people from like the complete opposite side of the country because of this game. I've talked to like complete and utter random strangers about it and gotten to be like, oh my god, I love this game. Oh, me too. So that's freaking great. I know that happens with like every piece of media that you cosplay. You meet people and stuff, but to like find people that are like that genuine and that awesome and love the thing as much as you do, like I think that's so great, and I love that. That's the best part.
Yeah, I think I would probably agree with that. That like the best part about this game, while the game is amazing in its own right, the best part about it was just the connections that,
right,
the opportunities that it's brought about.
Yeah.
I think for me the only things that could top it would be like recreating the scenes that I like, because I'm kind of, in case you couldn't tell, I'm obsessive over detail. So to recreate those scenes that I want would be like a topper, and then like I don't know, like the stars align and Dote Nod hires me to cosplay Max or something, but that's a pipe dream. Anyway, yeah, I think that's probably the parts that I didn't expect as much. So it's definitely, I knew what I was getting into to a certain extent, but it's also had its happy surprises, and some things I knew very well that they would not, that they were probably not the best decision that came around because of this. I brought somebody back into my life who was a mistake, let's put it that way. But I've ended up better off for it overall. As there are with a lot of things in life.
Right. Well, that's a shame. It's a shame that it didn't turn out, but yeah, it's good to hear. It's good to hear that overall it's been net positive.
Yeah. And that's all you can really hope for, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm talking to you guys.
We're so
yeah, like
sorry.
I've never done this before. This is really cool.
So, big question here. Third time for emphasis. Bae, B-A-E, or Bay, B-A-Y?
Is that even a question?
Yes.
Seriously? You're talking to a gay Max cosplayer here. What do you think my answer would be? Besides, like, what did Arcadia Bay ever do for Max? Really? Like, what have you done for me lately? Like,
Chloe. It's a pretty big answer.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm a sucker for like that. Like childhood BFFs turn girlfriends trope.
Same.
Oh God, that breaks my freaking heart. I love it. I can see the merits to both sides, because God knows no matter what way you go, Max loses one way or the other, which is why it's such a shitty situation, and I have a lot of feelings about it. But all that aside, like, because I mean, if I guess putting myself in her shoes, like really, Arcadia Bay didn't do shit for Max. What did it do? It gave her trauma that she now has to live through. It gave her like beta males lusting after her, and like just like I don't know, man. Like I don't know.
That's an interesting take. I've never seen somebody stand so firm against the Bay. Like, they're always just like, well, Chloe means so much, and like she's my best friend, and like I've never seen somebody be like, screw the Bay. It didn't do anything for me. Like, get out of here.
I mean, I can play.
It's a weight. It's a terrible weight that she would have to deal with. Either she would have to deal with losing the person who means literally the most to her in the entire world, that she has spent the entire game working her ass off and putting herself in danger to save multiple times, or like what could the population of Arcadia be? Maybe like 5,000 people tops. Like, God forbid we lose another small town in the middle of nowhere. But like that sounds so heartless of me. But
no, I agree.
I've said fucking
just,
more
it's just it's
like
again, thinking if it were me. Yeah, no matter what Max does, she loses. And she has to deal with the weight of whatever she has lost. And when one thing that I saw on the internet that had been pointed out and really made sense to me was when she loses Chloe, when she chooses to sacrifice Chloe, nobody else knows what she's going through.
Exactly.
Literally, it's like the entire slate has been erased. Nobody else there knows except her. And so to explain anything, even to like a therapist, would be looking at her like, what the fuck is wrong with you? So she's
nobody would believe it.
Yeah, she's entirely by herself. And to deal with a trauma like that by yourself is so much harder than to deal with even just one person who understands. So yeah, she's responsible for the death of thousands of people, but we don't even know if that's true, by the way. Yeah. But like, she has somebody there who knows what happened, who believes her, who understands and was there for most of it, and not only was there for it, but was like her main driving force behind it. There's a lot there to unpack, but I mean, even just having Chloe there as support would make so much of a difference, at least I think. That, and I am a huge proponent of the idea that not everybody died. They couldn't have all died. Like, yeah. you even drive past the two whales, and yeah, it's in shambles, but it's not destroyed. I mean, yeah, you drive past some bodies, but we never see who they were. Like, we know that Joyce was in the two whales, Warren was in the two whales, like, everybody's there, unless something magically changed when she went through the nightmare, which we're assuming didn't happen. And like, David was down in the bunker, presumably he didn't come out. Like, Kate had been taken away, so she's not in the area anymore. Not everybody could have died, whereas it's a guarantee that she loses Chloe, and she loses the one person who had been there through this whole bullshit thing. Just saying.
And
wait,
also,
let me hold on. Let me set the mood here for a minute.
No, don't you fucking dare!
Stop! No.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, so
how dare you?
Fucking asshole. So
like, I'm sorry I get so heated, but it's just like,
I'm right there with you.
It's basically you have a choice. It's either you watch your it's either you spend the rest of God knows how long with, you know, the best friend and ultimately girlfriend, or you watch Warren waddle up a hill like a penguin. That's ultimately what you get, and I still go with, I just still think about it and say, see you later, fuck boy, and just go for the other ending all the way.
God, what a fuckboy.
And with the sacrifice Chloe ending, like you were saying how you resonate with Max, like that's exactly how I feel about Chloe. So like when I think, like, I completely agree about like the whole Max not being able to handle that thing and like no one believing her. Like I think about that all the time. And also like if Chloe dies, she dies in that bathroom thinking like Max never came back for her. Rachel just left without her. Her mom didn't give a shit about her. Like she thought she died alone in that bathroom thinking nobody loved her and like everything in her life had gone to shit. And I can't let her die like that, because I've been like, as someone who like really strongly relates to like feeling like they don't have anyone left. It's just horrible. I can't do it. And like she needs that, like she never knows. Oh, it annoys me because you spend the entire game like building this relationship with Max and Chloe again, and like she even says this is like one of the best weeks of her life, and like all this kind of stuff. And it's just like, if she dies in that bathroom, she never knows that like Max, all the things that Max had to say to her, and like, oh my god, it gets me so angry. I can't do it. I can't handle it.
I know, it just
that really is like the worst thing about the game, is that there is no right choice. Like you always, like I chose Arcadia Bay because that has the most immediate gravity to the situation. You're like, oh no, of course I don't want to kill an entire town full of people. And then you feel like you're doing a noble thing, even though it hurts to sacrifice your best friend. But then it's like a slow burn afterwards, and you realize all of everything Sean just said and everything that you just said. And it's like, it's too late. You already did it.
Yeah. And that's another thing. I saw a very well thought out comic on Tumblr a long time ago, and I wish I could remember the artist because it stuck with me. It was like Max having a dream or something, and Chloe is in the dream, and it's in the ending where she sacrificed Chloe, and they're talking to each other about how like, God, I miss you so much, and like, I don't like, did I do the right thing? Like, I can't talk to anybody about this, you know, basically talking about all these things. And it's like the most heartbreaking thing because Max wakes up in the end and she's by herself, and I'm just like, I hate this. Like, I hate this so much. Ugh.
That's terrible.
I can't handle it. I can't.
Price deserve better.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me is like you said a little bit earlier, is just that Max would be entirely alone if she sacrifices Chloe. And sure, maybe it's like the not I don't know, mature
it's
decision or selfish, yeah, like however you want to say, like, then sure, I guess some of those things, but yeah, like, I don't know, I think in that position too, there would be a lot of shit that I'd have to get through afterward, but I think I would like, I'm sorry, like, I can't lose you, like, you're like, I can't lose someone like you, so
yeah, it doesn't sit well with me. I mean, both of them suck, let's be honest, but like, I don't know, I know it's selfish in that how it's portrayed in the ending, like it's so much less satisfying. I remember feeling so dissatisfied when I played that ending, and feeling like a sort of cognitive dissonance when I did. I was like, what the hell? Like, where's my happy ending here? I know we drive off and shit, but like, what the hell? And then I played the Sacrifice Chloe ending to see the difference. And I know there's a lot of talk about why the endings were so different and, you know, budgets and whatever, but it was so much more of a fulfilling ending, and it felt like the right ending. And I was like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
This is not cool.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree, but that's fine.
I'm right there with you, so.
Yeah, we're allowed to disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you know, that's like the most important thing about disagreements about this game, is that you don't attack the person, you don't get like,
totally.
And because I mean, I have friends that also feel that way, and we've had conversations about it and all that. Like, I think I'm just more, well, obviously there's a bias there, but I think also I'm more inclined to like appreciate like something is like for art's sake as opposed to, which I know is like kind of not a great thing to say, but I do recognize, there's like the tropes and there's all that, and like I do think that's valid. That's like you can be critical of the things you love. I think absolutely you should be critical of it.
I get that that's what they're going for, that's the kind of idea they wanted to express in the end. Just like for me, like in my deepest heart of hearts, I'm like, long live hospital ending. like I do wish that they'd had the opportunity to do more. Like I read about like people thinking about or theorizing about what it'd be like if Max had the option to sacrifice herself instead. And I wish they did something with that, because I think it would be very interesting to explore, given the fact that a lot of the game kind of revolves around Max sacrificing portions of herself anyway. So it's like the ultimate sacrifice,
And I know there's like been like fan endings known as the hospital ending, where it's probably the most optimistic ending that I've ever heard of. Where it's like, Max jumps in front of Nathan and Chloe, and she just wakes up in a hospital, and then everything's fine. Can we just have that, please?
Yeah, right.
Well, I know.
I'll pay for that ending.
I think it's so plausible as well.
I know they talked about, like, because originally they did have an idea for an ending where Chloe was in a coma as opposed to like bleeding
and
out
like
and
there's
dying.
There's that concept art of Max in what looks like a hospital gown, and there's like a bus flying towards her or something.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah. And I don't want to be this guy, but I think that I wouldn't be opposed to that kind of ending, and I think I still would have been fine with it. But yeah, I'm a big like advocate of a story having narrative weight. And in that scenario, I would just ask them, what was the point of everything? Was it simply to strengthen their relationship, and then you would assume that if they both survived, that they would still be that close, even though none of that stuff actually happened since she went back? Like, I don't know. I would just want, like, as much as that game hurt, no matter what ending you chose, it felt okay because of it just, I don't know. Yeah. It sucks, but but they're,
it's all real emotion.
Yeah.
Like I guess for me the idea of the hospital ending is giving them a second chance, because like they've been through so much because of Max's powers and all the stuff, like all the baggage that they're dealing with Jefferson, and that's the thing. Like I guess you could definitely call it like the good ending if they had included that, so that way they could get a chance to really start fresh without all this bullshit around them, because Jefferson and Nathan get arrested, and like there might even be a chance to like make up with David, even if Chloe doesn't know everything that they went through, it at least gives Max a different perspective. Right. So we'll never really know what they could have done with it. I guess it would just be like a different way to take the story, which I think could have been interesting in its own way. And I do agree with you that the story was made the way it was for a purpose. As much as I'm like, why do my babies have to die?
Right. Like Sean said, it would be better if they could all just be happy on a beach somewhere, Chloe and Rachel and Max, and nothing was wrong, and
everything was beautiful and nothing hurt.
Yeah.
I think, Sean, we actually had the conversation a little bit right around the time, like after you had first joined the show, and one of the things that, because we were talking about just this, and like I'm sensitive to the trope, and that does suck. Like the your gaze thing does suck. And like I'd made the comment how like I appreciate tragedy, and I appreciate like tragedies that can include that. Like, but you had said, maybe when there's more media portrayal of like good things, then you can take it just as a tragedy. So like I am sensitive to that argument, and I think it's like I'm not I guess I'm just kind of like trying to be like, whoa, don't be mad at me, guys. But I do like I am sensitive to that, and I think that is valid, and I'm not trying to invalidate that when I say that like I appreciate the tragedy for the sake of the tragedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. You know, it gives you the feels. It makes you feel alive.
Mm.
Yeah,
But it also sucks.
but yeah.
Yeah, being
Also,
alive sucks.
true.
Well, I think Joey nailed it. That was the big question. But
I appreciate like I love that it spurns such like conversation about
yeah,
it.
for real. Like, and just such a passionate answer. Like, you really got into it, and I love hearing people's perspective on that, even if it's different from my own, and especially if it's different from my own. So
That's
yeah,
like the thing that I love
for sure.
interviews with people is like when they get like really passionate.
I would die for Chloe Price.
Same. Same.
That's what we want to hear. Well, on a lighter note, so when you go to conventions, do you get approached by any fans of Life is Strange, and what is that like?
Yeah, I've had that happen. Mostly because, especially with Max, she's such a low-key cosplay that, like, most of the time it doesn't read as cosplay. The only people who really recognize me are fans of the game, and so that's really gratifying. Like, most recently, I was at a con in Montreal a couple months back, and there I wore Max on the final day, and I was just walking around, and this artist in the artist alley like yelled at me, being like, "Max, wait! Like, come over here!" And we got into a talk about Life is Strange, and it was great. Like, I love that. I love meeting people who have the same kind of enthusiasm, you know, want to talk about it. Like, that's awesome.
There was this is a big transgression, but we're prone to that anyway. One Halloween, me and my friend, I was dressed as a hunter from Left 4 Dead, and he was the pink and white Captain Falcon from Melee. And like no one knew who either of us were. Like someone called me shit for arms because I had like the duct tape around the hoodie arms and all that, and like people were asking him if he was like supposed to be a Power Ranger or something like that. And but anyway, there was this one guy, and he followed us for blocks as we were walking, and he finally caught up to us, and he was just like so enamored with my friend's costume, and I thought it was like really endearing and cute, like how he just like he followed us for so long just to come up to my friend and like tell him how much he loved his costume and get a picture with him. And so I think I don't know, I think it's like always really sweet stories when people are like so in love with your costume and like what you're doing. It's like they'll like
That's definitely the most gratifying thing about cosplay is when you find people who like love this shit as much as you do, and so much so that when they see you dressed up as that thing, they go, "Oh my god!" and you go, "Oh my god!" That I think is probably like the best part. And like I've made friends out of it, and like I've gotten closer to other friends because of it, and like I think for me, possibly the most gratifying thing that has ever come out of it is when people tell me, like my friends have told me that I'm their headcanon Max, and I'm just like, I'm gonna cry.
Oh, that's really sweet.
That is so sweet. I'm like, that is like the biggest compliment that somebody can pay you as a cosplayer, at least to me. And I'm just like, oh my god, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
Like that's the best.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I had like
It's always
Feels pretty
such a good reaction.
I have a story regarding like recognizing about cosplays, but it's kind of awkward. If you guys are down to hear that.
Let's hear it. Yeah.
So, this was about 2014. I went to a convention just to meet a couple of people from a show called Doctor Who. And
Just a little show.
yeah, I like one of my favorite actresses were there, right? Billie Piper, who played Rose Tyler, and I was like,
Oh, my friend was in a film with her.
I was like, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a photo op with her. So I was like waiting in a photo op line, right? And a guy just started shouting quotes at me, and I was like, what are you doing? I realized I was dressed up like one of the doctors accidentally. I was like, oh god. And like, he just randomly held up a spoon and just walked away. It's like, oh, okay.
Which doctor?
Peter Capaldi's. I was just wearing like
Nice one.
like trousers, a shirt, and a jacket.
Yeah.
Easy mistake.
I suppose that makes sense. I think you could do that actually.
Yeah. I just wanted to look smart.
I think want to be a sharp looking boy.
Yeah.
I think that's one cool thing too about like cosplay and Life is Strange characters and stuff is that they're not these like anime. They're not anime. It's the cool thing about it. Their clothing is just like normal human being clothing, and it's not like super like costume.
Yeah, it's also the best for being incognito, like when you actually leave the con, because
totally.
I'm pretty okay with being like gawked at when I'm out in public. Like I don't care when I'm at a con, but it's nice when I'm out as Max because nobody notices. It is great.
I remember I was at Pizza Hut at the same con, and I just seen someone in full Iron Man cosplay just sit down at a table at Pizza Hut and just start eating pizza, and like everyone was just staring at him.
God bless.
I mean, I know like how like warm those suits can get, and
yeah, dude.
I seen like what pizza he was eating, and he was like very adventurous, like with jalapeno peppers. Like, what the fuck, dude? You're fucking crazy.
Oh
my god. That sounds so Tony Stark, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
It's method acting at its finest.
Yes.
So since we're now waiting for the final episode of Before the Storm, do you happen to have like any theories at all of what will happen in Hell is Empty?
Oh shit. I'm one of those. I don't do a whole lot of like theory predicting. Mostly, I'm one of those people who likes to kind of go along for the ride. I'm one of those people who like, yeah, I may or may not know the twist, but I'm gonna forget about whether or not I know it because I like to watch the movie or whatever because I just want to enjoy it for what it is. But I guess my thought is, well, obviously, well, I guess not obviously, but I think Rachel's gonna meet her mom. I think that is how she is going to meet Frank somehow. I don't know whether or not they will do any sort of like building on what relationship they have before the episode ends, but maybe, depending on how the story goes. I imagine that something may or may not happen to, I don't want to say drive a wedge between Chloe and Rachel, but like it's to me the foreshadowing that they've done in all of the previous episodes about like Rachel being associated with fire and like she's gonna consume you and shit. Like something's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen to Chloe between them, and that's like maybe like sour it a little bit, which is why episode 2 is still my favorite so far.
Yeah.
But that's my best guess. As far as everything else goes, like who knows? I'm just hoping that they don't bring that Elliot kid in for like a brief hot second like they did with Warren. Jesus Christ, that was pointless. God, yeah. like props to Don't Nod. That like, yeah, he asks her out on a date, but you can refuse him multiple times.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's funny. I think Elliot is sort of a nod to Warren.
Oh yeah, so clear.
Oh yeah.
I think it's just for fun. But I like that, going back to the thing what you were saying before, I like that things are sort of reversed in Before the Storm where it's like more glaringly obvious that there is something between Chloe and Rachel. Whereas like in season 1 it was sort of ambiguous with Chloe and Max. So
yeah,
Right.
and also like this is something me and my friend were talking about the other day because he when I watched him play the episodes he always like purposely picks like the options to like the closest you can get to flirting with Elliot, but then he does it to wind me up. He doesn't ship it, don't worry. But he was like joking about the fact that even no matter even if you wanted to romance him, like you can't. Like Chloe's still uncomfortable, even if you do pick an option where like I said, the closest to flirting with him, like it's never like a like when he asked her to the play, it's maybe, and then with the hug, it's yeah, and then she's still uncomfortable when he hugs her. Like there's no actual you can clearly see there's like no chemistry at all, and it's like such a nod to the season 1.
I've never.
It's
been
not
that
canon.
I think I like Elliot a lot more than Warren, because at least Elliot is like, when you do reject him, he's a lot cooler about it. He's like, how you should handle rejection. It's
he's not a whiny bitch about it.
Yeah,
See,
it's not
I kind of thought the same until he started chatting shit about Rachel.
Oh, does he? So I didn't even like.
Yeah, I was like, chat shit, get banged. Because he was like, he makes a comment. He was like, if you speak to Elliot after you get expelled as Chloe in episode 2, he's like, yeah, but I bet Rachel got off like free, and then you're like, shut the fuck up, Elliot. No one asked for your opinion.
Yeah, true that. It just he reminds me so much of dudes I knew in high school. Although I do agree with you, he is a better choice than Warren.
Yeah.
Like I agree about the fact that like I like the fact that there's not like a forced chemistry there. It's not like oh, they're awkward, but that's totally how nerds are into each other, right? Like that was the vibe that I got from Warren, and after like playing the nightmare and seeing his locker, that just like confirmed all my suspicions. I'm like, you were exactly like dudes I knew in high school. That's why I don't like you.
Yeah, it's scary.
I mean, you've also kind of got that with Elliot though, like with the poetry, because the poetry is so weird. Like I hated that. Like I didn't find it when I first played it, and then I think I saw a post on Tumblr, and then I played it again. I was like, oh my god, creep.
Yeah, to be fair, I wrote some pretty dark shit in high school too.
Yeah, I don't know that I had a problem with the poetry per se, because it just seems like a guy enamored in writing poetry about, which, to be fair, all fucking poetry it's either about how you're fucking depressed and can't get out of bed, or it's how you're in love. Like all famous poetry, and so I was like, it was one of those things where it's like, in a different context, maybe it could be like very gross.
Yeah, I mean, like I was a moody emo kid when I was that age too. Like I get it. I mean, but like I do have to agree. At least Elliot is a step up in that he doesn't strike me as a beta male. Just throwing it out there.
I mean, like I obviously have nothing against poetry, but like I don't know. Like even Chloe was creeped out, and I was right there with her.
Mm-hmm.
I was like you get the option again. Another like kind of difference between the two, season 1 and Before the Storm. You obviously can write something on Warren's whiteboard.
Yeah.
And like you can either put like you're a cutie like in science terms, or you can put something else. But if you write on Elliot, she can like joke about him being like a stalker or like a creep, or I can't remember. Or you can like write something about him being a poet. Like and even in her journals, like she's so clearly like she says that she should be flattered, but she doesn't know how to feel, and like she's so clearly not interested in him. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I do have to agree. I think that's a better handling. I agree with her being creeped out, because, I mean, even now, like, if I broke into a friend's room and found they were writing poetry about me, I'd be a little creeped out, too.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's weird. It's weird when you, like, find...
It's just a creepy situation overall.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of more awkward than creepy.
Yeah.
But, I won't say that I found it endearing at all, because that's definitely not the right word. But like I wasn't as upset about it as like the shit that Warren pulled in episode or season 1.
I find the shit that Warren pulled to be a little more offensive. I can't forget that dream.
Yeah. Which they did such a good job. They did such a good job of conveying like all the reservations and all the like just the feeling, because Max throughout the entire season 1 never really has any time to herself to unpack everything that's happening to her, because she's always just concerned on like keeping Chloe from shooting herself, or like getting hit by a train, or so like I thought they did such a good job. I know like a lot of people didn't like the nightmare scene, and that's fine, but me personally, like they just did such a good job of like Max actually facing her own like shit that's happened throughout the course of the week.
Yeah.
And I would have even liked longer, like a longer nightmare scene. Just have more time to like kind of deal with the.
Yeah. I would agree, except it was so stressful.
Actually, I didn't find it stressful. I mean, the whole game as a whole was definitely, my God. But that sequence was just like, to me, it was like a work of art. And I just, Joey said, I really, really loved the way that they conveyed everything and just sort of brought to life all of these insecurities and fears that Max had in a very like real and also just sort of like mystic and horrifying, very dream-like way. It was like, you always see dreams portrayed in media, like movies and TV, but I think this was like the closest thing that felt like I was actually dreaming.
Yeah, it was so real. Like the emotions were raw. Like it was like sensitive for me to think about, and like particularly when she's making her way towards the lighthouse, and you literally like get a walkthrough of the whole game again.
Oh my God! Yeah,
God.
My friend describes it as like the Disneyland attraction, where you just see all of the highlights of their life.
I call it the Pricefield Walk.
I like that.
I think like I really, really loved the metaphor of Wells as the lighthouse, is like the like in the sort of like the middle before you get to like the junkyard segment, is just like being this like ever present, over like looming thing that you can't really like you have to actively try to hide from the like the ever watchful gaze of. And I thought that was like a really good way of like metaphoring that like what like Wells's character. And,
yeah, he's a dick.
A watchful dick.
True.
All right. Anyway, I mean,
so far off the rails.
Yeah,
anyway.
it's Sorry. Go ahead.
I'm so glad none of you caught that up. So our next question is, which ship do you prefer, Pricefield or Amber Price?
If you had asked me that before playing Before the Storm, I would have said Pricefield hands down. Mm-hmm. But now that we've had a chance to see Chloe and Rachel interact, it's a much harder choice for me. I would still pick Pricefield in the end because it means so much to me as a ship. But I really am glad of Before the Storm existing, in that we do get to see the relationship form between them, because it feels so genuine and does so much for Chloe for where she's in at this point, whether it's not like it's not exactly the number one choice in terms of like getting over her issues with her dad and stuff like that. It gives her something to hold on to, Right. So as much as like I think the Tumblr user, Twitter user, Mollifiable kind of put it into words best for me, in that for me Amber Price and a little bit of Before the Storm kind of feels like watching your current significant other's relationship with an ex from the beginning. So it's a weird feeling, given that I relate so strongly to Max, and Max is not in Before the Storm, so I don't have as much of a point of reference. I can relate, I can sympathize with both Chloe and Rachel, but it's a lot harder for me to put myself in their shoes, I guess, just because I don't relate to them as strongly. So I think it's a good thing, and I do believe it. I really do, particularly with the way that Deck Nine has done the game so far. I guess if I had to choose, it would definitely be Pricefield. But I do think Amber Price has its merits. I wouldn't say like, no, Amber Price doesn't need to exist, you know. Because everybody's just doing the best that they can in any given moment. And I know that we go on to learn that Rachel hurts Chloe, and that sucks. And you kind of have to keep that at the back of your mind when you're playing before the storm. So it's a hard decision. I would still pick Pricefield, definitely, in the end. But I don't think that Amber Price is wrong or bad necessarily, like some people do. I'm not a diehard one way or the other, though I used to be. But now I think I've relaxed a little bit in that area.
That's kind of hits the nail on the head for how I feel about it too.
Yeah.
Good way to put
answer.
it.
Yeah, like it's so hard to, at least from my perspective, to kind of put it into words. Just because there's both Max and Rachel fill a need for Chloe at that given point in her life. But again, this is kind of how Mollifiable put it. And God, that was like, I read that thread and I was like, this is perfect. But like Rachel, like there's a reason that Rachel is like, she's symbolically referred to with fire a lot. Like she's a Leo, she's a fire sign. Her father, Chloe's father, literally refers to her like as a blaze, like she's the fire that's going to consume Chloe. She's exciting. She's chaos. She's what is it? An escape from the shit that Chloe's going through right now, and that's very appealing for Chloe. But that's not what she needs to get better. Running away from your problems doesn't make them go away. It just means they come back later to bite you, and then you still have to solve them. And I think that it gives Chloe something to hold on to in where she is, but it doesn't fulfill her in the same way. I don't know if that would have been different if Rachel had, not ended up in the junkyard, but at least in terms of what we know about their relationship right now, Rachel, like, again, this I have to give almost all credit for this to Mollifiable. She put it into words. Rachel kind of follows her own path, and she goes wherever her compass is leading her at any given moment. I guess the term would be flighty, but I don't like using that because it has such a negative connotation. She goes where she wants, does what she wants, and right now Chloe is what she wants. But we find out later that eventually Frank is what she wants. So she's not stable. She's not reliable. She's there to bring fire to Chloe's life and spark it up a little, but Max is stable. Max is a Virgo, which I don't believe personally, but based on her birthday, she's a Virgo. And she's stable. She is somebody who is there for Chloe, even in spite of the fact that she's been gone for so many years. When she comes back and when they meet up again, from that point onward, Max is there for Chloe. She doesn't back down, and she puts Chloe first. And that's something that I don't think anyone except maybe Joyce has done for Chloe her entire life. And that kind of stability is what somebody like Chloe needs, who is going through such intense shit. So, like, Rachel brings a bright spark into her life, which is something that she's been missing given that her life has been such hell for so long. But fires like that eventually die out. And what do you replace it with then,
Well, yeah. I think fire is such a good metaphor for her, and because, I mean, if you look at the nature of fire, too, like, it consumes, it burns bright, but it always needs fuel. And if there's not fuel, like you said, it dies out, and then you just have the ashes left over. You just have the charred remains. And I think like kind of what the warning is, that we get from like the the dream sequences with Chloe and all that is that like Rachel will consume you.
Yeah.
She will like, and I think like when you think in terms of like Chloe is going to be so consumed in Rachel, she's going to be so like just wrapped up in Rachel because really like Rachel is the only thing she has at that age, at that point in her life. And for the couple of years after until she goes missing, it's really like all Chloe has. And but it's the whole like what William says in episode 2 and Before the Storm, where he's like, but fire wants the beauty for itself.
Yeah.
I don't think that's meant to take like, it's not meant to be as like Rachel is like inherently selfish, because I don't really like feel that. But I feel like it's like one of those things that's like fire consumes in order for it to feed, and if there's nothing left to consume there, then it can't feed, and like it either has to spread further and go in like different directions, or then it's gone.
It's basically like saying that basically Rachel's the fire, and like every person that she kind of interacts with is like fuel to keep that fire going.
Yeah,
so ultimately to get what Rachel desires, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gotta get the fuel, gotta get the fire. That which I desire.
Yeah.
Get out.
I was like waiting as soon as like you started talking about it, I was like, I can do it. But ultimately,
quoting
it's
the worst
true.
Metallica song. Yeah.
This is kind of off topic, but I've just got a message off someone saying that in Deck 9's stream, they said that we need to be careful of Elliot. So there's the tea for today.
Ooh, I knew it.
Yeah,
I knew he was
we
bad
been new, sis.
I refused that bastard twice.
Yeah, they said apparently we need to watch out for him. So
I'm probably gonna give him the Warren treatment. I'm probably gonna do a fresh playthrough where I just don't read any of his texts. I didn't do it for Warren. I'm not gonna do it for him.
Yeah.
I bet it's gonna have to do with like just fucking fragility of the ego.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Too. Like he's gonna be so like despondent. He's gonna be shitty. God, I fucking hate that.
Yeah.
I hate when people do that.
God, he's.
I don't want that tea. Take it back, Sean.
I'm sorry.
All right.
But one of my favorite things was telling them, no, I don't want to go.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, I guess we're going to stand corrected about every good thing that we said about Elliot.
Yeah.
In this episode, so I guess we have that to look forward to. But anyway, do you see yourself as cosplaying anyone from Before the Storm?
I could see myself cosplaying Steph. I like Steph.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, Steph is great.
She is legit. I like her. I guess if I had to pick anybody else, I mean, maybe. What's the name of that really quiet girl? The one who's got a heart on her.
Sam.
Yeah.
Hold on for Nathan.
Like, yeah, yeah. Just.
A heart on her.
Yeah, I could see myself cosplaying her, maybe. But that I think if I had to pick, it'd probably be Steph. I've thought about cosplaying Rachel too, if only because I would need like the wig and an earring, and I'd be set. Because I have an outfit of hers already to go. So maybe, I don't know, that could happen. But those are the two main ones. I have more thoughts about ones from the original season, honestly. I would like to cosplay Victoria, actually, because I like her look, and I think I could pull it off. Also, Kate. I would really love to cosplay Kate.
Yeah.
I think I could do her well.
We like Kate.
Yeah, just also, like, Victoria seems like she'd be fun to cosplay, because then I could, like, put on my bitch face all day, and it'd be accurate. But I think that's a good stopping point. I mean, really, like, Max is the one that I think I pull off best, and I think I would rather, like, get a little creative with Max than maybe do more with other characters. I'd like to dabble in the other ones. Like, I've had people ask me, especially since I made my my Max makeup tutorial vid. So people were like, "Oh, you're gonna do Chloe," and I'm like, "Oh God, I I don't know if I could do Chloe justice. But it's an interesting thought, like, friend, loan me a wig and I'll do it.
I have just uploaded pictures of a Steph cosplay, so I'm right behind with the Steph cosplaying. I love her. You should definitely do it.
Yeah, I like her. I like her a lot.
Yeah, I think she's probably like my favorite new character.
Same.
Yeah.
Life is Steph.
I would die. I would give my left lung for Steph if she asked for it.
Like, although I do have to admit, as far as the new characters go, I do have a soft spot for the other nerd. Like, what the hell's his name? Mikey. Yeah. I do have a soft spot for him.
Man, I'm a sucker for like kind of like the sibling story in media, and that's why I fucking watched Supernatural for so goddamn long. And even though it's like, well, anyway,
PTSD.
So like Mikey and Drew, man, I fucking loved that. Like that segment, it was like it hit close to home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Mikey though. He's a good kid.
Yeah, he's such a, like, I want to protect him. He's so precious.
Whenever he walked in and said, "You want to play more tabletop games?" I honestly just said out loud, "Hell yeah, I do."
Fuck yeah.
He's such a like, I feel very, he makes me feel very like brotherly and protective.
Yeah.
And, like, I want to like shield him.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
In a weird way, he's sort of the new Kate. Like, protect him at all costs. Like,
except he doesn't try to throw himself off a building.
That's true.
Yeah.
As far as we're aware.
Oh no! Don't
Tendencies.
suggest such things.
In episode 3, he's instead of going to jump off, he's going to jump onto one. Don't know how that's going to happen, but it's going to happen. I'm calling it right now.
He's gonna roll the dice first.
Yeah.
I think probably this is another just divergence, but I think probably we're not going to see like something huge happen in episode 3, because it would just be really weird for like this major, like, especially if it has something to do with like if it's mystical of any sort, it would be really weird for this thing to happen and then Chloe just like, oh yeah, Max, now that I know you have time powers, I'm also not going to tell you about this crazy thing that happened to me when I was 16.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting there to be more grounded in like setting up for the next 2 years in between before the storm and season 1.
You know, Joey, I've been thinking about that for like the past week, and I think you're right. I think if they are going to reveal anything, it's going to be unbeknownst to Chloe.
Yeah.
Like something that happens off screen that only the player sees.
Yeah.
Because I think you're right. I think it has to retain a certain level of ambiguity to transition well into the next phase or the next story.
Yeah.
Even for me, like, at the start of Before the Storm, I kind of made a pact with myself that even if this game turned out to be more like fanfic than canon, I was going to take it for like what it was. And like that's part of the reason why like I'm not with a lot of the fan base in like flipping their shit, being like, oh my god, does Rachel have powers? Oh my god, she screamed and the tree caught fire. Like I don't see that. I just see somewhat like a girl who was pissed off and like the wind was blowing and they had literally made a point about saying, hey, these wildfires have been happening and it's really dry. Don't make fire.
Don't set anything on fire.
I have a really hard time buying into the fact that Rachel would have powers, because also like part of what you said I agree with. Like if Chloe really did experience another supernatural being and she found out, hey, Max has powers, why the hell wouldn't she bring that up? Especially for the fact of being like, wow, that's a coincidence. I have 2 people in my life who had magical powers. You know,
all the women in my life that I love turned out to have powers.
What a world. That's yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's cool. Just that kind of thought process. I guess I can't I agree with you. I can't see them doing something like that. Or if they did, I think you do have it right. Like if they were gonna do it, Chloe can't know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think there is like a certain like kind of air of like mysticism around like Arcadia Bay, but not so much like the individual characters. I mean, like I'm not saying like of course Max is the one that has the powers, but for all we know, it was given to her by Arcadia Bay. Like so, I think there's like a certain level of like kind of supernatural in a way, just ambiance to the whole story overall. But yeah, like I really like I'm not expecting some crazy big thing to happen other than it to being like some sort of revelation about who Rachel is, or like some sort of like if it's going to be big, it's going to be big in a way that's more grounded to the characters and not like
Yeah, like I can see that, and like I do agree that like maybe it's Arcadia Bay that has the mysticism, because it's been pointed out multiple times that we don't know where Max gets her powers. It's never explained, and like that's
love.
something like in my like mind ramblings, like thoughts where I'm just I'm just thinking about shit. One thing that I've thought of, I'm actually really glad that I'm really hoping that they're not going to do Max and Chloe in season 2. But what I'm crossing my fingers for, or what I think would be a really good thing if they're going to do a season 2, is they should like keep the idea of maybe the time traveling powers or some sort of mystical powers like that, but do it in with completely different characters. Maybe maybe like in and around Arcadia Bay, maybe not the exact same place, but like wouldn't it be a freaking awesome tie-in to like be in another town on like the coast or something of Oregon or Washington, and to have them read a newspaper article about what happened in Arcadia Bay, like holy shit, this storm just completely wiped out this town, and then like that is what causes something else to happen to those characters or something, almost make it like a saga,
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say this is why I wish Zach was here, because like I know he loves getting into this kind of shit. But like I definitely, when I think it was either Joey, you or Zach introduced the idea of Arcadia Bay having its own sort of like not personality, but it itself is like the environment is the thing that's supernatural and mystic, which I love. I love that theory, and I would love to dive into it more. But I think that I would agree. I think that if, when season 2 comes around, I would love it if it tied in that way. The only thing I wouldn't want to happen is like, I'm not looking for like a gimmick. I'm not looking for like every season to have its own superpower to revolve around, only because I think Life is Strange is more than that. I think season 1 was fundamentally about time and what you can do with it, how it changes, how it has consequences and all that.
Yeah.
Before the Storm is, to me, fundamentally about perception and perspective. It's about Chloe experiencing this tragedy and basically living inside her head because she has nobody else, and her perception of what happened, her dealing with the death of her father, and her dealing with her mother moving on and meeting this new guy who's now moving in, and her having to shape how she's going to be after that. And even with Rachel, who is somebody that like around whom there's so much mystery, you have to decide what you think of her. And even William inside Chloe's dream is just an extension of Chloe saying like, can she be trusted? Is she going to consume me? Is she going to just up and leave one day? So to that end, I would be okay with Rachel not actually having powers, even though after I finished episode 1, that's exactly what I thought. I thought she was like master of the winds, or like, had the elemental power of fire or something. But
storm.
that could yeah, exactly. And even in episode 2, you see the little candle flames start to like flicker when she's like getting mad. But I would be okay if that wasn't actually a thing.
I think going back to just the season 2 of Life is Strange, I mean, Michelle has said that, it was the last of Max and Chloe's adventure. I think they probably will do some sort of at least nod to season 1 and the events of season 1. But I feel confident enough in Don't Nod's ability to be sincere and genuine with their work, and like take their own stuff serious enough and like care about their own stuff that I'm pretty optimistic for season 2, even though I think it will be like I think it will be different.
Yeah, I hope it's different, honestly. I'd love, again, to see, like, I'd love to have them tie together, but they don't necessarily have to be related. Even aside from the fact that if they did make season 2 about Max and Chloe, they would have to pick a canon ending and piss off a good portion of their fan base.
Yeah, that's true.
And
so,
they can't do that.
They can't do that. So I do.
Christian wouldn't allow that.
Yeah, I hope they tie in. I hope that there's nods or suggestions, maybe not necessarily like oh, this is Max and this is Chloe, like they don't have to do something that outright, although I do hope they tie in somehow, even like a news flash about, oh shit, this town in the middle of Oregon just got fucked up, something like that.
I just hope they mention the Blackwell podcast in season 2.
Please.
Hint.
I'll pay for that as well.
Yeah, right. Hey, don't nod.
That's not totally out there, Like, I don't know if you guys, and this is a tangent upon a tangent, but real quick, there's a game called Broken Age.
Oh yeah.
You know that game?
Yeah, I actually wrote about it in my along with Life is Strange. I wrote about it for one of my exams.
Nice.
Oh, nice. It's very good. It's very well done, and it's very tongue in cheek. It's basically a satire in a lot of adventure games. But anyway, it was kickstarted, and one of the main backers behind the game was actually included in the game, and he did a voice and he had a character, which I thought was awesome. So
that's cool. Yeah.
That's so dang. They don't know. I put out a Kickstarter. I'll buy it.
So you mentioned before just about like you'll do makeup tutorials and just sort of like just things to let people know like how you go about your process. What would you say to people who are starting out and who would want to cosplay characters from Life is Strange or anything else? Like, what advice would you give them?
Play the game. Duh. That would be step number 1. Number 2, don't feel ashamed to reference other people and take what you think is good and leave behind what you don't like. That's essentially what every cosplay is. I mean, unless you're the first to do it ever, which can happen, but even then, you're doing, like, you kind of have to do that when you're translating a 2-dimensional character or even 3-dimensional in like a gaming situation into reality. And there's some things can be done, some things can't. The laws of physics apply out here, and it thankfully you don't have to worry about that too much with Life is Strange. But it's just something to keep in mind. Like I was really bothered for a long time when I was making Max, particularly the wig. Part of the reason why I fucked up her bangs the first time was because I was trying to get them to look a certain way and they just wouldn't do it. Like, straight up, I tried so many different methods and they wouldn't do it. It took me a lot more effort to get it to do what I wanted. So, like, every cosplay that you make is about things that, like, getting together things that you like and don't do the things that you don't like. And particularly when you're not the first person to do that, you're like the 152nd cosplayer to do it. Like, you have a lot of references to work off of, and so you should use those. Like, people put their pictures out there and you should use them. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Details would be another one, as I kind of touched on before. Focus on the details, definitely, because that's what's gonna really bring your cosplay to life, I think. And at least in terms of my own cosplays, that's where I like to focus if I'm gonna do something that's really easy like that. Don't be afraid to invest in good materials. I know everybody has limitations in ways, and you kind of have to work with what you got. But like, for example, I invested in a lot of wig styling tools to get my Max wig looking the way I did, and I don't regret it in the slightest. Because it came out exactly how I wanted. So don't be afraid to like get the good shit. Like, don't put yourself out of house and home, obviously, but you gotta, like, I think taking the extra step and getting, like, not the costume satin, going for, like, real satin, you know, there's that's what really kind of ties everything together. And I that's my perfectionism coming through. And of course that's not like it's not a hard and fast rule. Like, Lord knows I'm freaking lazy too.
Sure. Well, I can relate to the perfectionist mentality, definitely. But, like, would you say there's a balance to be struck? Like, there are some things you can kind of, like, you know, go a little bit easier on to get the key components just right?
Oh yeah. And there comes a point where you kind of have to make sacrifices. Like when I first made Max, I was, like I said, I was sitting there staring at this wig, willing for it to exist, and it didn't. Like, so there's gotta come a point where you gotta, like, cut ties. If you wanna make it work, you gotta accept lesser quality, or you gotta make it fast, and so it's not as great, it falls apart. There's always a chance to redo stuff. So I would say if you can, give yourself lots and lots and lots of time, because it's not fair to say you won't procrastinate, because that is absolutely not true. Everybody does it. Just give yourself enough time so that way procrastination won't get you to the point where it can make it not happen. Because that honestly is the most disappointing thing, when you yourself have sabotaged your own work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and, like, not sorry to, like, butt in, but just, like, on that note, especially when you're starting out, cosplay is such, like, a trial and error kind of experience, and, like, especially when you're starting out, there's gonna be times where something doesn't go right and it's gonna make you think, oh, fuck it, I don't want to do it anymore. But, like, don't worry, we've all been there, we've all had, like, 5 a.m. tantrums because we couldn't get the right stitch. It's okay, just, like, keep trying, and, like,
yeah. Everybody's got a cosplay graveyard of things they wanted to do and it never came to fruition. Like, it's not worth it, and it sucks. It absolutely sucks. But that's also part of the reason why I don't cosplay as much in groups as I used to, because I feel so much more obligated to get it done when I'm responsible to other people. If you're just cosplaying with yourself and you can't do it, yeah, it sucks. But you're not letting anybody else down but you.
Right.
Yeah,
Right,
I guess, like, my advice for characters from Life is Strange is about the same as I would say for anybody else, other than, like, play the game, because you should do that anyway.
Indeed.
Well, cool. So you've got tutorial videos and stuff on your YouTube?
Yeah, I put it on my YouTube channel, which I think only has that video because I made it under my my cosplay Gmail account, so it's pretty, like, fresh and new. But yeah, it's up there. It's also on my Facebook page, which is a little bit older, so it's in both if people want to see it.
Yeah, we'll make sure to link all your social media so everyone can follow you there and find you that way.
Sweet.
Well, very cool. Thanks for taking the time to come on the show with us. It was great talking with you.
Yeah, that was good. Like, 2 hours of just talking about Life is Strange. I love it.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
That's what we do best.
So make sure to check out Kiki's stuff. Make sure to follow her. Give her lots of adoration for her hard work.
Aww. Yeah, it's yeah. I wish I could change the name of my my Facebook page, but I'm basically Kiki Cosplays on everything except Facebook, in which I am Kiki's Cosplay Service.
I think that's pretty good though. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a total, like, funny name in the beginning.
When Jimmy told me the name of that, I was like, man, that makes me really want to go watch Kiki's Delivery Service.
Yeah.
It's been so long since I've seen it. Cool. Yeah. Thanks again so much. It was a blast talking with you. And it was,
I had fun too.
Absolute joy. So yeah, that is Kiki, everyone. Like I said, follow her shit, or adorn her with adoration.
Aw.
And
Don't nod, hire me.
blessings on blessings on blessings.
So that was Kiki's cosplay service. Great cosplay, great person to talk to.
Yeah.
Wish them all the best in their future endeavors. So let's get on to some housekeeping before we wrap up the episode. So next week we have Rihanna DeVries, the voice and motion capture actress for Chloe Price in Before the Storm.
Yeah.
Super exciting.
Tuesday is the deadline for questions
Yep.
for her.
Yee.
So if you haven't already submitted,
Make sure you do.
we'll tweet about it. But
we're taking a break on the 18th. That week we're just going to be we're going to be making some announcements about Extra Life, which is the 25th. And this is actually a pretty good segue, as short as it was. But let's announce what prizes we're going to be giving away for the stream, huh?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
this we're gonna do the system very similar to how we did it last year. Whenever we hit a goal on Extra Life, we're gonna give away a prize, and we set about $200 a prize, right?
Yeah. I'm looking for the thing now, but yeah. So I need to say, just kind of CYA here, that you do not have to donate.
No.
To win. And I have to.
You just have to be.
No, that's a big stipulation. You just have to be in the chat, and we'll actually have it a little bit organized better this year because we know more of what we're doing now. So it'll be like a tier, and that will unlock for anybody to win when we hit donation levels.
Yeah, and we'll announce like on social media when we're giving away this prize in like a 10-minute warning or something. Okay, so you ready for this?
Let's do it.
Okay, whenever we hit $200, we are going to give away a limited edition of Life is Strange Season 1 for the Xbox One. For $400, we're going to be giving away a limited edition copy for the PC of Season 1.
Nice.
$600, we're going to be giving away something from an insert coin. We're not really sure on how we're going to do that yet, but it's...
Probably what we'll do, since sizing and availability and all that,
is a bit...
and so probably what we'll do is it'll be a gift certificate for insert coin for you to pick something from the Life is Strange, or if you want to do something else that isn't Life is Strange, but I'm figuring it's probably going to be Life is Strange. From their new line, you can get something from there, and the gift certificate will probably cover. I'll probably factor in the cost of shipping as well. Like I'll look up like what the greatest amount of shipping cost will be, and then like put that into the gift certificate. So.
So at $800, we're going to be giving away a Blackwell podcast T-shirt, which is going to be very exclusive.
Yeah. So this is kind of a thing with the artwork that Elysian made for us. We're going to put it into a T-shirt, and it's going to be something that all our co-hosts have. We're also giving them as gifts to some of our Square Enix friends and Don't Nod friends, and we'll probably be looking at eventually getting some for our Deck 9 friends and all that. But they won't be.
We won't be selling.
They won't be available. Yeah, we won't be selling them. They won't really be available for public other than this opportunity to win one. So that'd be a cool prize if you like the show. And I hope you do.
Speaking of shirts not for sale, a $1,000 prize is an Arcadia Bay T-shirt. Joey, would you like to explain what's different about this T-shirt?
Yeah, so this is a cool shirt. It's you've maybe seen Toby wearing it. It's black with it has Arcadia Bay. It's a limited run. It was like kind of it was another like thing that wasn't really put out for public.
Are they black?
It can be black or blue.
They could be
I
black.
thought they were navy blue. Oh, okay, there we go.
There's
More
two
sense.
color choices.
Okay, yeah. I was like, have I been colorblind this entire time?
Mine ended up being black, but yeah. So either a black or blue one. Choice will go to the winner, and so yeah, it's another like very limited piece of Life is Strange memorabilia.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this is it, the final prize. Whenever we hit 1,000, or we should say if, right?
I'm going to
We-
say whenever.
Let's
Okay.
be
Win slash-
optimistic.
Let's be optimistic. Okay, whenever we hit $1,200, we're going to be giving away a vinyl copy of Not to Disappear by Daughter, which is signed by the band themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm jealous. I want that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Daughter's
same.
Yeah, for real.
fucking phenomenal band.
We are not eligible, but we will be very jealous of whoever gets it.
So yeah,
Uh,
we're looking
go-
forward to give that away. To a nice one.
Yeah, and it's possible we might have some copies of Before the Storm to give away. That depends on personal finances.
Mhm.
But now that I'm a poor college boy, as opposed to last year when I was working full time, it makes it a little bit more difficult to nail some of this stuff down. But so if we can swing it, we'll probably maybe have a couple copies of Before the Storm to give away as well. Just kind of like they won't be tied to any prize or any.
It'll just be like random giveaways for the chat.
Yeah.
So
We're gonna start announcing guests soon.
Yeah. Let's say we'll start making announcements for guests next episode.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be a good little episode to start, because that'll be like the last time we can actually talk about it before it happens on an episode. So it'll be a good way to actually start talking about it then. So let's kind of wrap things up here. So we've chosen a time for when we're going to be streaming, right?
Mm-hmm.
4 p.m. British Standard Time, which is I'm working it on my head. 11 a.m. Eastern. Wait, that's
8 a.m. Pacific.
8 a.m. Pacific, yeah. 9 a.m. Mountain. And we'll be doing it for 24 hours. We're not going to take any breaks because we're insane like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be doing it for the San Jorge Children's Foundation for Puerto Rico.
Yeah. So last year we raised $32.92.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to beat it this year. Maybe we can hit 4K.
Oh, we totally can.
I can hit 1080p at the best. Sorry. Anyway, a big thank you for all the patrons over on our Patreon to help support the show, with all of our costs and everything. We really appreciate it. That's an episode. So
Yeah. Well, I have a couple things real quick that I want to hit on before we conclude.
Okay.
I do want to put out there, I want to just see how people feel about this. If maybe so the purpose of our Patreon is to help cover our subscription costs to what keeps the show afloat. But maybe next year, like sometime like early March or late February, sometime like around that time, maybe doing kind of a little bit of a drive on our Patreon just to secure some equipment for some of our co-hosts, like mics and stuff, just so we can continue to make the quality better. I'm just asking this if people would have if they think they would be cool with that, if they'd have an issue with that, because I don't want us to use the funds that are supposed to be going toward our subscription costs. I want to have full transparency with how we're using the money. So if you think that's something, we'll talk more about it later, but I just kind of want to put out some feelers for that, see what people might think, and get some headsets and just some decent audio equipment for some of our co-hosts who might want it. I know I would like a better headset, better headphones. I don't really need a new mic, but anyway. And And then another thing is we're making a change to Everyday Heroes.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, as of this episode coming out, we're gonna start looking for our. It's gonna be mainly submission based now.
Yeah. So we're not doing away with Everyday Heroes, but we are focusing more on what we wanted it to be originally. That's where it's submissions. So when we get submissions enough to do it, that's when we'll do an Everyday Heroes segment.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're an artist or you have cosplay pictures or you've made something, we've had some cool stuff that like have been shown to us. We've had like I actually bought the Max and Chloe, but we've had like these little Max and Chloe clay figures that are made. So stuff like that, anything like that.
We even saw a Chloe themed guitar as well.
Yeah. So, anything like that. If you have friends that you think might be interested in submitting, let them know. Tell them about us.
Yeah.
But I guess that also kind of another change that we're going to be doing. We originally talked about doing rotations, but we've decided that we all love each other and we have more fun when we're all together. So our episodes, barring circumstances such as this
Today.
episode where Zach couldn't join us, but we're all five just going to do every episode together. And so we're doing away with the rotation.
Yep. Which I'm excited for.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
United.
And that's a great way to end the episode, right?
Yeah. So keep your eyes open for announcements for Extra Life.
Yep.
Coming soon. Get your questions in by Tuesday. That is Tuesday, November
7th?
The 7th. For Rihanna.
Yep. And with that said, we'll see everybody next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.